how can we take ourselves out of the situation that the country faces. We need to change the way we look at things. We need to change the way that we address situations and find a solution and find a way forward for our country. So with this in mind, I want to introduce to you Dr. Bhoendradatt Tewarie. He's a member of Parliament for Caroni Central and has twice been a cabinet member of government. He has served both in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Apart from politics and government, much of his life has been devoted to education. He has taught at several levels and has written 2 books on his own, has shared authorship of another 2, and has contributed chapters to several. He has also published articles on a range of topics related to development. Dr. Tewarie is the past principal of the St. Augustine campus of UWI and Pro-Vice Chancellor for Planning and Development at UWI, and has been honored to deliver the 7th CARICOM Distinguished Lecture. His main interest is development of a sustainable kind. His most recent book is Sustainable Development, Thinking About It, Making It Happen. He studied leadership at the St. Book School, Oxford University, earned degrees from 4 other universities, and has taught at home and abroad. We are privileged to have Dr. Tewarie address us, so I invite him to the podium.
This is of course a distinguished audience of not just generous people and citizens, but hardworking business leaders and practitioners, all of them very concerned about the state of our country and wanting to do something about it. So I salute all of you. My salutations first to the head of the Kuva Point Lisa's Chamber, Mr. Rajwal Maharaj, and his executive, to all the chamber heads who are here present in this Chamber of Chambers meeting, and to all of you members and other citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who are here. A special salute to the panelists, business leaders and owners and economists from the University of the West Indies. The theme of this particular forum today is starting the economic recovery, securing our common future. And as you would see, that is a very positive outlook for Trinidad and Tobago when many people are concerned that our future may not be as bright as it needs to be. And so I want to start by saying that as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, I think this gathering represents an action of hope and the need for action to make hope a reality in terms of the things that we do and the things that happen. Let me take a moment to share my vision with you. My vision for Trinidad and Tobago, the country of my birth, and for which I have worked for my entire life, and for which you are now working, is to work together with others to build, to nurture, and to cause to evolve a sustainable nation. I say sustainable nation because a nation is more than its economy. And my considered view is that for development to be sustainable, it must be multidimensional as well as integrated in its approach, and therefore, action initiatives for development must be designed to impact on each other and must include sound economics, but also must rise above narrow economic considerations. The issue of financing of development is also critical. The availability of finance, access to finance, and the identification of available options to determine how much can be done is always vital. In other words, finance determines how much reach and stretch one has. But I want to make this important point. Financing should not determine what is to be done. What is to be done is a matter of the determination of priorities. Priorities should be set within the context of a framework for sustainable development with a plan for sequencing and integrating action. Finance and money should follow that in the context of budgetary allocation. A good government, therefore, budgets behind clear priorities. If you don't know where you are going, any road will get you there. But if you have a clear direction and a well-mapped out, rational path, then only the well-mapped out path will take you in the direction you intend and ultimately to the desired destination. So my vision, which I hope you will feel comfortable enough to share, is to work with others to build, to nurture, and to cause to evolve a sustainable Trinbago nation. This means sustainable livelihoods for all citizens, sustainable households and families, sustainable classrooms and schools, thriving communities, a health-conscious and healthy population, a productive, competitive, sustainable economy in a progressive, business-friendly environment, and a participatory, inclusive politics and governance with a commitment to environmental conservation, economic inclusion, and a fairer spread of ownership and earnings together with human development support across the board. Notwithstanding the micro problems which demand to be fixed and the structural problems which demand action now for sustainable solutions later, to begin to walk the road to success, we must first take Trinidad and Tobago out of the current recession to begin a path of recovery and growth. And right now, that is the first task. And I think one of the big problems that all of us have in the current current government policy is that we do not know what is the plan to get us out of the recession. The celebration of a temporary short-term increase in oil and/or gas production, long anticipated, is not helpful to the objective of sustainability, even though it will give us a limited financial boost. The path to economic sustainability cannot be carved out by doing the same things that we have been doing for the past 60 years in the same way. Reliance on cyclical booms and busts from oil and gas production and price fluctuations in energy commodities is in fact what has gotten us to where we are today. We cannot continue to govern in the same way as we have been doing for the last 60 years. Most ex-colonial states that have failed because of intellectual confusion and therefore lack of clarity and direction behind which to summon the energies of the mass of the people. Failed societies also failed because of the lack of moral courage at the leadership level to speak honestly and frankly to their population, to present choices to them, and then to show and lead the way forward. Corruption becomes attractive when leaders lose their way and a country becomes adrift. In such a situation, self-preservation becomes ascendant and corruption then a way of life. So we need a governance model based on inclusion, on participation, and on shared facts. We need honest engagement, the identification of options worth considering, and choices supported by moral courage of the leadership and the embrace of the larger population. We need to set the tone for corrupt-free participatory government. As a population, we cannot behave as we have been doing, as we have been behaving for the last 60 years either. We must obey the law. There must be conformity to clear, fair rules by all. And to make this feasible, the tone must be set by good example from the top. This is basic to winning and building trust in our society, which has dissipated over time. There is a difference between winning a desirable future and winning an election. I must thank the President of the Point Lisas Chamber, Mr. Ramchan Rajbal Maharaj, and his executive for engaging me as a collaborator and contributor to today's very successful event. I also take this opportunity to thank the presidents of all the smaller regional chambers of Trinidad and Tobago for welcoming and supporting my inclusion and for working hard to engage their own membership. To the membership of the various chambers who are present here today, I have one important sentence to say to you. If you do not stand together for your own interest, no one else will stand up for you. So take a bow, members of this Chamber of Regional Chambers of Commerce. You have done something wonderful together. Give yourselves a round of applause. To the panelists and chairs who are gathered here this morning, let me commend you for your independence and your courage. The lack of independent thinking, the lack of independent perspectives and voices from individuals, and the weakening of independent institutions is one sure way of undermining democracy in a society. When fear silences independent thinking, when political power corrupts independent institutions, intellectual failure is assured, moral courage vanishes, and a failed state is guaranteed. Democracy thrives on the clash of ideas, on the emergence of contending views, and indeed on the accommodation of dissent. The essence of democracy is dissent and freedom of thought and freedom of expression. In 2004, when I was principal of the University of the West Indies at St. Augustine, I warned the country about the prospect of becoming a failing state. We have traveled a long way downward since 2004. We are by no means a failed state yet or today, but I warn again that we are getting perilously close. I salute all the economists, business leaders, and moderators contributing here today for their courage, independence, and patriotic commitment to Trinidad and Tobago. And I also ask you to give them a resounding round of applause. I want to deal with the elephant in the room. My role in this forum is not partisan, and it is not narrowly political. Small businesses, family businesses, retail businesses, medium businesses are in danger in this contracting economy, in this recessionary spiral, and in the midst of this foreign exchange confusion. And small and medium enterprises are vital to the buoyancy of any economy. Small and medium enterprises need to summon the courage to speak on their own behalf. The business owners of this category span the gamut of political allegiances. Some are UNC, some are PNM, some are unaligned, some are party in power, some, like so much of the rest of the population are fed up with politics, political parties, and the state of the country. So I do not seek today to enlist anyone here in a partisan cause. That is your personal choice. But I do seek to strengthen you to national commitment and to development of your business, your community and your country, and to the causes of democracy and of sustainable development for Trinidad and Tobago. But of course, I am a UNC Member of Parliament, and I want to take the opportunity to admit that the UNC and the People's Partnership made mistakes in government. That is one of the reasons, but not the only reason, why we are in opposition today. But opposition gives one time to reflect and to learn from one's mistakes. The solutions to our problems require strong leadership today, but it also requires collaborative leadership and creative action. We have to do things, we have to make and build things, and we have to make things happen. Simple things. Food production, school feeding, tourism, and entertainment brought together in a serious economic strategy can do wonders. Comprehensive fiscal consolidation, effective management of foreign exchange, and business confidence can make a very big difference in the economy and the psychology of economic engagement. Our country requires a radical departure in governance if the talents we possess as a people are to be unleashed to flourish. Trinidad and Tobago requires a dramatic advance in systems efficiency and effectiveness, and our nation needs not just a diversified economy, which we need, but an enhanced one, capable of taking our young citizens to the places where the best of the world are already going. As a country, Trinidad and Tobago can leverage world knowledge for this and can learn from others. But these are not the kind of things that Trinidad and Tobago can import. We must discover ourselves and do these things for ourselves as we create together a better economy, a better society, a better political system. Research and its applications are important in this process. So in the current difficulties in which we find ourselves, we must come together, we must act together to save ourselves. How? With ideas, with action, with collaboration, with cooperation, and with unity to build a sustainable nation. We must be driven by the vision that we deserve more, and that we can be more, and that we are capable of more. But we have current challenges which we must overcome. There are business leaders and owners here who will speak to some of these challenges and the solutions they are finding or proposing. So I will not dwell too much on that. There are economists here who know what our current reality is very well, and who can also recommend solutions, and indeed have suggested in the past solutions that we might pursue or do better, or things that we might do better or differently. The problems we live with every day, I will mention only some of them and only in passing. Overdependence on energy exports income, a fossil fuel economy in a world committed to clean energy, crime, criminality, and lawlessness defying reason, an aging population and youth without a future, too little diversification to absorb a high throughput of tertiary level graduates, family disintegration and its attendant community and social problems, including crime and criminality. I will not dwell on these, as I said, but as I close my talk, I want to share a few things with you which I think are absolute necessities for the country. The first is that we need to strengthen government accountability and enhance parliamentary scrutiny by legislating clear fiscal rules which bind government. So the fiscal rules limit what the government can do within a given context or year within the framework of a plan. We need to use ICT, information communication technology, to enhance government service to citizens and to support an open and transparent tendering process for procurement of goods and services and to ensure value for money. ICT is not used in this society to even a minimum level for efficiency and effectiveness. We need monitoring and evaluation and a system in an annual system of accountability to counter fake news, spin, propaganda, and outright lying by those in authority. Now, we had a performance management system, what you call an accountability system of monitoring and evaluation, but I think it was scrapped. And finally, we need a dedicated focus on small and medium businesses to give them space, incentives, and opportunity to retool, redesign, and transform, including a lower rate of taxes supportive of business growth. Government has already imposed a higher tax on banks. They have imposed a higher tax on $1 million of profit. There is no reason why a lower tax rate should not be applied to small and medium businesses in Trinidad and Tobago with a range of support incentives. If we have differentiated taxes, then let's be rational about the differentiation throughout the system. So there are 4 things that we can do immediately. The ICT-based service economy on the part of government and procurement, strengthening of government accountability by parliamentary legislated fiscal rules, a monitoring and evaluation system, and a differentiation in taxes for small and medium enterprises together with incentives. But I want to mention a few more, bigger ones. We need a clear agenda for economic restructuring and diversification with an immediate action plan for investment with targets, getting out of the recession and getting to growth so that we can action the process of building a sustainable economy to anchor a sustainable nation. We need action on the energy sector resolution of issues to make additional investments in the energy sector possible. In 2009, the Ryder report indicated that we had 9 years of gas. Decisions between 2011 and 2014 took us to 20 years of gas, where we are now. We need to stimulate investment in our waters to give us another 20 or 30 years of guaranteed supply while the Venezuelan issue resolves itself. The diversification agenda must build on existing manufacturing and services, but must also focus on renewable energy-based industries and renewable industries. The value chain issues and the implications of artificial intelligence for ongoing fourth industrial revolution economy must drive industry transformation. We must go green on land and leverage the resources of the ocean around us. We need a strategic alignment of education. The alignment must be to productivity, competitiveness, creativity, entrepreneurship, and innovation to support a sustainable development agenda. The current curriculum and methodology cannot support the intellectual and social capital base which we need as a country. to matter in the world. I mentioned the dedicated focus on small and medium. We need an anti-crime agenda and strategy involving land, sea, air, and technological capability, with international support to deal with guns, drugs, and human trafficking linked to our shores, and delinquency, criminality, gangsterism, and white-collar crime at home. Crime and fear of crime are destroying our lives in the country. We need a social agenda focused on family, community, social displacement, with retooling for inclusion, economic participation, and the spread of ownership as an important component. We are breeding the conditions right now for growing discontent, and this is unhealthy. Given our aging population, if we embarked on a serious agenda for diversification, growth, and job creation, we would also need a managed migration policy that would support such an agenda for prosperity. The problems in Venezuela offer us an opportunity to be both humane and resourceful. And I'll give you just one example. If we tied 100 skilled Venezuelan Spanish-speaking to a tourism strategy involving all of Latin America and Spain, we could begin to see something and begin to see the results in 2 years. Now that the production of gas is greater and the price of oil and gas are higher, we should focus on a recovery, growth, and prosperity agenda instead of an austerity, retrenchment, and borrowing agenda. The economy is shrinking. GDP is now at 88 billion, the worst it has been in a decade. And debt to GDP ratio is 62% and rising fast. Standard & Poor's and the IMF downgrade of the growth projections are simply signals about the danger that we face. As a nation, we must clear the way for production and inclusion rather than lack of confidence, hopelessness, and contraction. Let us, each of us, create hope. Let us do what we can together now. We must reject dejection and take action for hope. I want to close by saying a word about sustainable development and a sustainable nation, which I started with. A sustainable nation is one in which even those who are likely to be the most vulnerable have a ladder to step up to self-sufficiency, where prosperity reigns for the hardworking, the talented, and the entrepreneurial, and where those who hold the levers of power serve the public good. If you are committed to that society, that kind of society, and that kind of vision for Trinidad and Tobago, then I assure you that we have a lot to do in working together to make it happen. Thank you very, very much.